Sergey Kovalev hits harder than Adonis Stevenson. He also has better all-round boxing skills, and he'll probably beat Stevenson if or when they fight. At least according to Darnell Boone. Now, this information is from an interview with Darnell Boone, and I've left a link to that interview in the Show More tab below this video. So you can go click the link and read it for yourselves. Now, if you don't know who Darnell Boone is, he's a journeyman fighter who has fought both Kovalev and Stevenson twice. And he's also fought Andre Ward. And despite the fact that Darnell Boone has got a terrible record, he's lost more than he's won. I believe, off the top of my head, I think his record is something like 118. He's won 18 fights, lost about 22 or 23 fights, drawn 4, and he's only got 8 knockouts on his resume. Despite the fact that he's got a terrible record and a very low knockout percentage, he's the only man to drop Sergey Kovalev, Adonis Stevenson, and Andre Ward in a professional boxing ring. That's right. He actually dropped Kovalev, Stevenson, and Ward. Now, most boxing fans by now are already aware that he dropped Adonis Stevenson. Not so many boxing fans seem to be aware that he also dropped Andre Ward. And even fewer boxing fans seem to be aware that Darnell Boone dropped Sergey Kovalev. And not only did he drop Kovalev in his first fight with Kovalev, he hurt Kovalev badly when he dropped him. He also hurt Andre Ward badly when he dropped him, and he hurt Adonis Stevenson badly when he dropped him. This is a guy who don't even have a lot of knockouts on his resume. All right? Now, in the first Kovalev fight, Kovalev got up and managed to win a split decision over Darnell Boone. All right? This is a split decision over a journeyman. He won a split decision over Darnell Boone. In the rematch, Kovalev managed to knock Boone out in 2 rounds. In the first fight with Adonis Stevenson, Boone managed to knock Stevenson out in 2 rounds. But in the rematch, Stevenson knocked Boone out in, I believe, 5 or 6 rounds. And then in the Andre Ward fight, Ward won the fight on points. I believe it was over 6 rounds. But he managed to drop Ward. I think it was in the 3rd or 4th round towards the end of the round and hurt him badly. But as I say, Ward managed to survive, got up and won the fight on points. Now, this shows 2 things. This shows, first and foremost, that both Stevenson and Kovalev both have more than enough power to knock each other out. So which one hits harder is kind of irrelevant, really. They both hit hard enough to knock each other out, probably with 1 punch. So, you know, who hits harder is kind of neither here nor there. But it also shows that something I've been saying for a long time, that knockout ratios, knockout percentages can be very misleading. A lot of people seem to think they have this false notion that the person with the highest knockout percentage in a particular division must be the hardest puncher. It don't work like that. All that shows, having a high knockout percentage, all that it shows is that you have the ability to land hard punches on your opponents on a consistent basis, fight after fight. And during the fight itself, you can land consistent hard punches. Yeah, that's all it shows. It don't show that you have the hardest 1-punch power. There's a lot of guys out there, and I've said this so many times, but people still can't seem to grasp it. I've said so many times that there are journeymen out there who can hit harder than the top knockout artists in the division, but they don't have the skills to be able to land the punches on a consistent basis. You look at a guy like Darnell Boone, who's a journeyman. He takes a lot of fights at short notice. He doesn't even study his opponents. He's not always in great shape. He just turns up to fight. He doesn't even know who he's fighting most of the time. He hasn't studied them. He doesn't know what they're like. And he just plays it by ear. You know, he just turns up and he's more worried about defending himself from getting knocked out than he is actually trying to land his own punches and win the fight. And if you've ever seen Darnell Boone fight, he has a very disjointed style. There's not much rhythm to what he does. He just basically covers up, and then he'll come out with a couple of wild punches. That's how he tends to fight, right? So because he don't have the kind of skills needed to land the punches, hard shots on a consistent basis, he has very few knockouts on his resume. right? But that is not a true reflection of how hard he hits. He clearly hits a lot harder than his record suggests. And there's a lot of guys out there who may have high knockout percentages, but they don't hit as hard as their record suggests, all right? This is what people need to get to grips with. So anyway, it proves that. But like I say, it also proves that Stevenson and Kovalev have more than enough power to knock each other out. Now, one thing I've seen online is a lot of people seem to have this idea that Kovalev has a better chin than Stevenson. I don't know why they have this idea, because as I say, Stevenson's only been dropped once in his professional career. I don't know about his amateur career, but I know as a professional, he's only been dropped once, and that was in the Darnell Boone fight. And as I say, Kovalev was also dropped by Darnell Boone. All right, yeah, Kovalev got up to win the fight on a split decision, but then, you know, he was still dropped. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not like if he does have a better chin, it's certainly not extremely better. You get what I'm saying? He was badly hurt in that first Boone fight and down. So was Andre Ward when you get what I'm saying? You get my point. Also, apparently, Sergey Kovalev was knocked out in the amateurs. Yeah, I don't know who knocked him out, but apparently he was knocked out in the amateurs. And the most disturbing information that I've come across is that Sergey Kovalev, according to the rumors, which I heard in my Facebook group, yeah, again, these are just rumors. These are not facts. But according to the rumors, Sergey Kovalev was knocked out cold by Gennady Golovkin in sparring. This is with headgear and big gloves on. And we know Golovkin is not even a big middleweight. This guy could still make 154. But according to these rumors, apparently there were several well-known people in boxing who witnessed it. And, you know, the rumors are saying that Golovkin knocked Kovalev out cold with big gloves and headgear on. All right, that's not a good sign for a guy who's a light heavyweight. You know, getting knocked out by a middleweight and a small middleweight in sparring with big gloves and headgear. That's not a good sign. Now, again, that's a rumor. But what we do know as a fact is that Kovalev and Golovkin have sparred. And there's footage on YouTube. In fact, I'll put a link in the description below, in the show more tab below, another link. And this link will be to a video, which is an interview with Gennady Golovkin's trainer, where he talks about the sparring between Kovalev and Golovkin. And according to him, Kovalev was scared of Golovkin in sparring. Now, if he was scared, then that would explain, that might add more credibility to this story of Golovkin knocking Kovalev out in sparring, right? It might give more credibility to that, because it could possibly be that in an earlier sparring session in a different training camp, Golovkin knocked Kovalev out. And then when he went to train up in Big Bear with Golovkin again, with his trainer, his trainer present, maybe that would explain why Kovalev was so cautious and, according to Golovkin's trainer, scared of Golovkin. You know, apparently he was so cautious and so overly respectful of Golovkin that they had to send him away and say, look, you're not giving Golovkin the kind of work that we need, you know? So make of that what you will, but that's very interesting, very interesting. If it is in fact true that Golovkin knocked him out cold with big gloves on, then it looks very doubtful that he actually has a better chin than Adonis Stevenson. Very doubtful, So also, a couple of other interesting things in terms of comparing Stevenson to Kovalev. Stevenson has the longer arms than Kovalev. And again, I'm not talking about reach. People always bang on about reach to me. When I say someone has got longer arms, some wise ass goes and looks at the reach measurements and says, oh, you're lying, Hatman, they don't have the longer arms. I just checked the reach. Reach and arm length are not the same measurement. God damn it, how many times do I have to explain this shit to people? It's two different measurements. Reach does not tell you how long someone's arms are. The only measurement that tells you how long someone's arms are is the arm length measurement that they give on HBO. All right. Now, Stevenson, as I said, because I didn't even check the arm length measurement before I said this. I just said this based on how they look in the ring. I said that to me, Stevenson looks like he has longer arms than Tony Bellew. And when I watched the HBO version of Stevenson Bellew, lo and behold, Stevenson did have longer arm length measurement than Tony Bellew, like I told you. But it's the same with Sergey Kovalev. Stevenson would have an arm length advantage over Sergey Kovalev. And the reason I bang on about arm length so much is when you get a fighter like Stevenson, he maximizes those long arms. That's part of his style. Stevenson's whole thing is he keeps you at the end of his punches because he's got longer arms than you. Yeah, he forces you to come at him because he can still pop you with that little annoying jab from long range, and you can't get him because he's just a couple inches out of range, right? He keeps it a wide foot base and he maximizes those long arms. All right, so he forces you to make the first move, and when you make the first move, bam, he's in there with a quick straight left hand. Yeah, so that reach is very important to Stevenson, to keep you on the end of that reach. So that's why I bring up, sorry, not reach, the arm length, before I contradict myself. Those long arms are very important to Stevenson. He keeps you on the end of the long arms at a distance, forces you to make the first move, and then counters with that fast left, right? Long range is Stevenson's home. He's like a sniper at long range, yeah? So having the arm length advantage over Kovalev could be significant. We know that Kovalev, as we can see for ourselves, but also according to Darnell Boone, has a more varied attack than Stevenson, right? He can come with the left, he can come with the right, he can come with uppercuts. He's got a more solid jab. We know he's got a more rounded arsenal than Stevenson, who's a bit of a one-trick pony with a left hand. But at long range, I expect Stevenson to have the advantage. I think he's got quicker hands, and we know he's got longer arms than Kovalev. There's only about an inch difference in terms of height between the two of them. So that's neither here nor there. So at long range, Stevenson's still going to have the advantage. Will Kovalev be able to get close enough? Will he be able to get past that no man's land, all right? That danger zone in order to get his powerful arsenal of punches off? Will he get past Stevenson's, long range sniping? Yeah, that's the thing. Will he be able to make his more rounded offense count? Yeah, that's what we have to look at. Also, the size of the fighters. I found out from the HBO feed, or the HBO version of Stevenson Bellew and Kovalev Silak. I found out from that version of the telecast that on the night last weekend, Sergey Kovalev weighed in on the night, the unofficial HBO scales, at around 180 pounds on the night. Fully rehydrated. The guy was only 180 pounds. That shocked me, to be honest with you. I thought he'd be way bigger than that on the night. The light heavyweight limit is 175 pounds. This guy was only 5 or 6 pounds heavier than the light heavyweight limit the night of the fight. Right? That to me is incredible. That seems like a guy that could still make super middleweight. Right? But yet Adonis Stevenson is the guy we'd expect to be smaller. He's moving up from super middleweight just last year. Adonis Stevenson on the night against Tony Bellew weighed close to 190 pounds. So he was about 10 pounds heavier than Kovalev. All right, so Adonis Stevenson really is a very good sized light heavyweight. Tony Bellew, I believe, was about 2 pounds heavier than Stevenson on the night. 1 or 2 pounds heavier. We knew Bellew was a big light heavyweight anyway. But it's interesting to me that Stevenson's actually bigger than Kovalev on the night. Quite significantly bigger as well. That's very interesting. So yeah, there's more things here to weigh up, more variables to weigh up in terms of how a potential match between Kovalev and Stevenson would go. But like Darnell Boone, I've been kind of leaning more towards Kovalev so far. But with these rumors or revelations about Kovalev being knocked out in sparring with headgear and big gloves on by Gennady Golovkin, it really makes you wonder, would he even be able to get past that long range of Adonis Stevenson unscathed? Because you're going to have to get in close against Steve. He's going to have to get past them long arms, negate that long, those long arms, and get in close to get his arsenal off. Would he be able to do it? I think Kovalev's got a fairly solid defense from the fights I've seen of him. Fairly solid, but he's never faced anything like that Stevenson left hand. It comes in so quick, ridiculously quick. He's never faced anything like that. So will his defense hold up against that? I don't know, man. I think it's very interesting. I'd love to see the fight. We all want to see it, but I'm just dissecting it in my head right now and just weighing up all the variables. It's very intriguing. And as I've said, I would not necessarily jump to the conclusion that so many people are jumping to that Kovalev has a better chin. I don't think he does have a better chin. I think he might have, you know, had the more consistent defense throughout his career, but I wouldn't say he's got a better chin. No, I wouldn't say that at all. Anyway, drop your comments below. This video is longer than I wanted it to be. Yeah, let me know how you feel about everything I've mentioned in this video. This is Hatman, I'm out.